Welcome back to Science Online class. I am Parth Davda and this video is for class 8. Today we are going to learn about coal and petroleum in detail. So let's get started without wasting any more time. This is what we are going to learn. The very first thing, I'll be giving an introduction, which will be a video. Then the classification of resources like exhaustible and inexhaustible. Then coal, the formation of coal, the process of carbonization, followed by the destructive distillation of coal, then coke, coal tar and coal gas, which we are getting by processing of coal. And lastly, one more video related to it. So let's get started. So students, have you ever wondered that by which means or the fuels are your bikes, cars and trains working? Think about it. Well, the answer is that they are working on coal products and petroleum products. So today we are going to learn about coal products and petroleum products. How are they obtained and how to process them. Along with that, at the end of this module, you will be able to define natural resources and its types, describe the coal and its other useful products, describe the petroleum and its refining processes, list the various constituents of petroleum and their uses, and describe the natural gas and its importance. The resources can be classified into two categories: natural resource and man-made resource. The resources that we are getting directly from nature are called natural resources, like forest, air, water, coal, petroleum and natural gas. There are subtypes of natural resources, namely inexhaustible natural resource and exhaustible natural resource. Inexhaustible natural resources. These resources are present in unlimited quantity in nature and they are not likely to be exhausted by human activities like sunlight and air. On the contrary, exhaustible natural resources are present in limited quantity in nature and they can be exhausted by human activities like forest, wildlife, coal, natural gas, petroleum, etc. Do you know that some exhaustible natural resources were formed from the dead remains of the living organisms, namely fossils? Hence, they are also known as the fossil fuels. So, coal, petroleum and natural gas are fossil fuels. So, let's study about coal in detail. You must have seen black color stone-like structure. Well, there is nothing but coal. It is hard and black in color. As you might be knowing that coal is used for cooking, steam engines, thermal power plants and refineries. Now when coal is burned in presence of air, it releases a toxic carbon dioxide gas, which is very harmful to inhale. Some useful products of coal are coke, coal tar and coal gas, which are obtained by processing of coal. So let us understand in detail. The very first one is coke. It is a tough, porous and black substance. It is the purest form of carbon and it is mainly used for manufacturing of steel and extraction of metals. Second is coal tar, which is a black, thick, unpleasant liquid. It is frequently used in the manufacturing of synthetic dyes, perfumes, drugs, explosives, plastics, paints, photographic materials. Coal gas is used in industries and it is obtained as a byproduct when we are obtaining coke. And that's how we get coal gas. So after revising all the things, we will now begin with our next segment. That will be the classification of resources. Now, the classification of resources all the resources are divided into two types. One is inexhaustible natural resource and the other one is exhaustible natural resource. Now, as the name suggests, so is the work of it. Inexhaustible natural resource. These resources are present in unlimited quantity in nature and are not likely to be exhausted by the human activities. Examples are very easy: sunlight and air. Exhaustible natural resources, these are the opposite ones. The amount of these resources in nature is very limited. They can be exhausted by human activities, and examples are forest, wildlife, minerals, coal, petroleum, natural gas, etc. So this chapter is about coal, petroleum and natural gas. So what type of resources will it be? Yes, it will be exhaustible natural resources. So let's get started with the next part. Coal. Now coal, it is as hard as stone and it is black in color. Probably you all have seen how does a coal look like. Coal is one of the fuels used to cook food, and in the earlier days we were using it for even powering our railway engines. It is also used in the thermal power plants, so that when we are burning the coal, it produces steam, and with the help of that steam we will be able to produce electricity. So the next thing, story of coal. It is basically formation of coal. About 300 million years ago, the earth had dense forest in the low-lying wetland areas. Due to natural processes like flooding, these forests got buried under the soil. Now, as more and more layer of the soil kept on depositing on it, they kept on sinking down. So the temperature also rose as they sank deeper and deeper. Under high pressure and high temperature, dead plants got slowly converted into coal. So initially, that was the dense forest. Due to floods, it got buried into the soil. Then it sank deeper and deeper, and due to the high pressure and temperature, it got converted into coal. Now, this particular process is named as carbonization. So how do we define carbonization? As coal contains mainly carbon, the slow process of conversion of dead vegetation into coal is called carbonization. Since the coal was also formed from the remains of vegetation, as we have discussed, the dead plants, so coal is also called a fossil fuel. Coal is used as a solid fuel to produce electricity, and coal is also used to manufacture coke, coal tar, coal gas. Now these are the things that we will be understanding it as our next topic. So far, so clear? Alright. Now when you process coal, it gets converted into coke, coal tar and coal gas. How? By the process of destructive distillation. What is destructive distillation? Let us have a look at it. So this is the setup of destructive distillation of coal. There is one test tube number 1 where we are having powdered coal. This is the powdered coal. Then we are having test tube 2 where we are having water present over there. This test tube 1 is having complete cut off from the oxygen. And there is a bent tube number 1 and this is the bent tube number 2. we need a burner to heat the things. So here is our burner. Now, let us understand how it works. When the burner is set to the flame, then test tube 1 will be heated. And in absence of air, it will be producing a gas. That gas and the vapor will be traveling all the way through this test tube vent 1, and it will be reaching to test tube 2. Here, we will be getting a liquid, a very tarry substance, thick liquid we will be able to get, which is coal tar. The undissolved gas will be coming out through this particular bent tube, and that gas will be referred as coal gas. So out of 3 things we have received 2 of them, coal tar and coal gas. Now when this process keeps on happening, at the end we will be getting some sort of porous solid substance, and that porous solid substance over here at this position where the coal was, that porous solid substance will be referred as coke. So this is how we will be getting coke over here at this place, coal gas at the end, and coal tar, the liquid, over here. So I hope the destructive distillation of coal is clear. Now we will be watching one video which is going to show us how the destructive distillation will take place in real. So let us have a look at that. They are setting the burner on fire. As you can see, this is the pieces of coal. Here is the second test tube, and as you can see, there are some bubbles over here. Now as we increase the flame, the amount of heat, then the process is taking place faster, and very soon you will be able to see a combustible gas, a gas that catches fire very easily, even at the room temperatures. Here it is. This is the gas that we are able to see. So let us understand all the components of coal that we have just seen. Very first one is coke. Now coke is a tough, porous and a black substance. Remember the things that we are getting at the end? The solid substance which was present in the first test tube was the coke. It is almost pure form of carbon, and coke is used in manufacturing of steel and in extraction of many metals. So that was the very first component. Component number 2, coal gas, the one which we were getting at last, the gas, right? Now coal gas is obtained during the processing of coal to get coke. It is used as a fuel in many industries which are located nearby of the coal processing plants. And the third component that we were getting was coal tar. In industries, it is used for making various things like the synthetic dyes, drugs, explosives, perfumes, plastics, paints, photographic materials, roofing materials, and so on. Now interestingly, the naphthalene balls, if at all you have seen a white color sphere-like structure which is present even in our basins, even in the moth repellent which we are keeping it under the bed so that no more moths comes up, that is made up of coal tar, and hence it is very important part of our daily life. And these days, bitumen, a petroleum product which we will be studying in the next session, is used in place of coal tar for metalling the roads. You know that surfacing of the roads that you have seen. So that is done with the help of coal tar and bitumen. So now petroleum and natural gas will be included in the next session. I hope the part of coal, formation of coal, different types of resources, and the destructive distillation process is pretty clear. So see you in the next session. Thank you.